not seeing that, but awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. It's Coach Adele and Coach Tiffany here. And today we wanted to talk about realistic expectations for weight loss. Why do we want to talk about this? Because some people are impatient.
Yeah.
Some
a lot
people,
of people are impatient, not just some, a lot.
yeah, yeah. It's not just you, if that sounds like you.
It's
Um,
everyone. You're not
yeah,
alone.
it's kind of like I'm remodeling a house right now. It's 130 years old. It's a massive remodel. It's going slower than I like, but I'm still making progress every week. So as long as I don't give up, I'm going to enjoy the end result.
Yes, it's going to
So
be beautiful.
it's going to be beautiful. So I think also what we're challenged with, I guess, is we often have clients who have had rapid weight loss on HCG. And then they get tired of doing HCG. It's so restrictive, etc. And they want to just do the New You program and lose some more weight without HCG. But of course, that's a slower process and they get impatient. And I
Yeah.
always say you got to fight it out to work it out. You got to figure out what is getting in the way and deal with that. And then, you'll get the results you crave. But some people just don't want to fight it out and they go back to what they think will work. And that's totally human and totally understandable. But HCG, going back to it over and over and over again doesn't solve anything.
Yeah. So let's talk about some realistic expectations for weight loss
Yeah.
when you're not doing HCG. What
Yes.
would you recommend that people focus on each week whenever they're not on HCG?
Well, I think let's set expectations. And we like to do that with our clients, right? Like we tell them what they can expect to lose, which is 0.5% to 1% of your body weight every week would be considered realistic and healthy by any standard out there. Okay. But that's what obesity experts and medical professionals and everyone agrees upon is, no more than 1% of your body weight a week. There's some caveats to that. If you have a lot of weight to lose, you can lose more.
Yeah.
You might lose up to 2% the first 2 or 3 weeks, right? So let's say you weigh 200 pounds, 250 pounds. You might lose 5 pounds in your first week and then 4 pounds in your second week, etc. But after that, it'll start to slow down. That's usually when people start getting impatient. Because the easy losses are over. Why do people, well, let's talk about why people lose so much weight in the first couple of weeks, usually. Do you want to chat about that?
Sure. So whenever you start a new training program or a new diet program, whenever you first start, you're committed. You're in it. You're dedicated to it. You said, "All right, I'm doing this." And then you're very strict about what you're eating and how you're eating. And you see that weight come off and you're like, "Oh, hey, I can keep doing this. The weight's falling off." And then you do it again next week and you're like, "Well, I didn't change anything, but it slowed down a little bit. Why did I lose less this week?"
Mm-hmm.
So then you're like, all right, maybe it was just a one off. And you do it again. And the next week you lose a little less. And every week that motivation kind of drops a little bit. So it
Yeah.
makes it a lot harder for you to adhere to that.
Yeah. And it's totally natural because in the first couple of weeks, you lose a lot of water weight as soon as you start dropping carbs, and usually you drop calories and often carbs. And carbs aren't bad, but carbs actually make you retain more water than other macros. So the water weight comes off. The easy losses are in the first couple of weeks. And then when it slows down is when people start to lose a bit of motivation because, the numbers are not going down. It's not as exciting. And then it starts to feel more like a grind. And then if the numbers don't go down, then there might be more like, well, I might have a little of this or a little of that, or they might even give up,
Or what sometimes will happen is they will lower their calories even more. And
Right.
with that, they end up losing their energy levels. So instead of walking throughout the day, they're laying on the couch because they just don't have the energy to get up and move. And that is
Yep.
going to lower how many calories you're burning throughout the day as well.
Exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned that because we have experienced this repeatedly. For example, I have a client I'm coaching right now in the Transformer program who actually lost less weight on 800 calories on HCG than she did in week 3 of reverse dieting her on 1,300 calories. Why is that? Because her energy, she had more energy with more food, and she naturally wanted to move more, and that burnt off any additional calories she was eating. So sometimes eating more food can really help you lose more weight. But it's a tricky balance, isn't it, Tiffany? This is where the coaching comes in. Everyone is unique. Some people are high responders to more food. They naturally move more, and some people don't. And so we have to adjust the calories and macros accordingly.
Yeah, we really have to focus on how much you're moving throughout the day. And that's why, part of the reason when we do those check-ins with our clients, we actually have a tab on there that asks them about their weekly activity. We want to know, is this an ideal calorie range for you based on your weekly activity? Or do you need more calories? Is that going to help you? Are you going to feel better with more calories? Or should we drop it down a little bit lower because it looks like you're not exercising or moving your body that much? So we really have to take all of that into consideration whenever we're helping you work towards that weight loss goal.
Yeah, a lot of people just think of, well, I exercise, I hit the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and I run twice a week. But that's actually not the bulk of your calories burned. Your calories burned are burned through unconscious movement, parking your car further away from the grocery store, taking the stairs, loading the dishwasher, doing some yard work, walking more when you shop, stuff like that. And so some people burn hundreds more calories in a day. And when you're in a big calorie deficit, you automatically start getting lazier and lazier, and you burn fewer and fewer calories because your body's compensating for less food intake. So anyway, I don't want to get too lost in the weeds. Let's continue with the realistic expectations for weight loss. So that was 0.5% to 1% a week without HCG is a good rate. Now, there are with some people, we were talking about this, they may actually gain weight when they're on a diet and they start strength training. Why is that?
Okay, so whenever you start a strength training program, you're literally causing micro tears in your muscles. Whenever you cause those micro tears in your muscles, you're going to have a little bit of fluid retention, a little bit of inflammation in that area, and that's going to cause a jump up on the scale. And some other things that you're going to have is you're going to have more stores of glycogen in that muscle tissue, which is going to also cause a jump on that scale. More water weight, things like that. And then also you're building muscle tissue. It's normal to have that little bit of spike there. It will eventually level out, but you kind of just have to stick with it and be patient and work through it.
Yeah. And you can start building muscle tissue in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. When you do see a jump on the scale, it's typically water weight, extra nutrients in the muscles, and the glycogen, which is stored carbohydrate in your muscles. Athletic individuals with lots of muscles have more glycogen. Okay, so when you have glycogen, you actually store more water. This is not fat tissue. A lot of people get really obsessed with the number on the scale. It is meaningful, but only to a point.
Yes.
Because athletic individuals and people who are training and things like that, they are going to have more muscle and more glycogen, and these other factors are going to impact the number on the scale. That scale does not, unless you have a body composition scale, which we recommend for our clients. I even ship out body composition scales to some of my clients in the Transformer program, because I want you to see what's happening with your weight.
Yes.
This is fat tissue and muscle tissue, okay? And so what can happen is you could lose. Well, we had a client who just went through this. She had a DEXA scan, and that was a body composition scan. And basically you might say, oh gosh, I only lost 1 pound this week. And my scale went down 1 pound. But a body composition test will tell you maybe you actually lost 3 pounds of fat tissue and gained 2 pounds of lean muscle mass.
Mm-hmm. So
on the scale, it looks like, oh, I only lost 1 pound. Well, actually, you lost 3 pounds of fat tissue and you gained some muscle, which helps your metabolism. Okay, yeah. So weight is the sum of many things, and it's not just fat loss. It's just weight, which can be fat loss plus muscle loss plus water loss plus glycogen loss. So Yeah. If
So
you
many
can get
different factors.
so many different factors. If you can get a body composition scale, especially if you start strength training, it will help put your mind at ease.
Yeah, you'll understand what those changes a little better. And then that's the other thing is we always tell our clients, give it some time. Give it some
Mm,
time.
you have to be
You have to
patient.
actually give it a good 4 weeks to notice any changes in those measurements. If the scale has gone up and your measurements have gone down,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yes, because we recommend people take body measurements as well. Face it, if your waist is getting smaller and your clothes are falling off, you are losing weight.
Yes.
Even if
Well,
the
you're
scale
losing
goes
fat.
up. Sorry, you're losing fat. I just did it. They're saying, yes, you're losing fat. Okay, you're recomping if you're lifting weights.
And I would much rather lose fat than lose muscle mass. So,
Oh yeah, muscle mass is the reason why some women's metabolism slow down as they age because they lose muscle mass.
mhm.
Okay, so maybe let's just chat about pros and cons
Yeah.
of rapid weight loss versus more conventional, slower weight loss. So
Okay.
do you want to chat about some of the pros?
So, some of the pros of rapid weight loss is, as I mentioned earlier, you start this new program, the weight is falling off, and you're motivated, you're on it, you're feeling accomplished. And research actually shows that whenever you see this happen, you're able to adhere better to a diet because you've got that motivation there. So, I mean, that is a huge pro of a rapid weight loss program. But as with every pro, there's also some cons. So, do you want to talk about some of the cons here?
Yeah, for sure. Some of the drawbacks to rapid weight loss are that you could be hungrier,
Mhm.
possibly, depending. Like HCG, we find seems to suppress the appetite. But if you're doing another type of diet, any that helps you lose weight quickly, you could find yourself hungrier, which
Mhm.
can be hard to maintain for longer than a week or two. So then you may not actually get the results you seek in the long run. Another con is when you lose weight really quickly. Have you ever heard the expression, the faster it comes off, the faster it comes back on?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of that is because people don't really change their habits deep down. They lose all the weight and they have this like idealistic idea that they're going to, oh, somehow they'll be good. Once they've lost the weight, everything will be easy and they'll just know what to do to maintain. They'll be highly motivated to keep that weight loss. But they actually don't have the skills because they've never learned new behaviors, which is
And
something we teach. Habit change. Yeah. And if you lose it, let's say you lose a lot of weight in 6 weeks, that's not a long time to learn a bunch of new habits and change your whole lifestyle. And
and
chances are you've been doing this diet in a bubble, maybe not even eating out socially, eating a totally different list of foods that you would normally eat. And so you come out of that bubble and you go back to the foods you used to eat and you go back to social time and vacations and trips. You have no new skills on how to manage those situations. So the weight comes back on rapidly.
absolutely. And then also, a lot of people don't take into consideration that whenever you're losing weight, you've got that evidence right there in front of your face to help keep you motivated. That scale is going down, those clothes are falling off. But when you hit that goal, what do you have to work for at that point? You hit that weight, you're at a happy size, and now you're staying at maintenance. Well, how do you stay there? If you never built those habits, if you never learned how to eat for your body, how do you stay there?
Yeah.
So taking the
Yeah.
time to learn those habits.
And you touched on a really good point. It's exciting to lose weight. It's
Mhm.
not exciting to maintain. And I
No.
think some people get addicted to this cycle, right? Because they get a little bored with maintenance. And so then they're like, well, they pursue pleasure in other foods and other things. And then the weight comes back on. It's, oh, well, I can always lose it real quick. And it's exciting to get to see that go down. So I think you have to sort of embrace the what is the sameness that maintenance
Yes.
is.
Mhm.
There's there are pros and cons to maintaining. It can be a little bit boring,
Yeah.
but you got to find, I mean, if your major source of pleasure in life is food, wow, that's putting a lot of pressure on food for your happiness. You got to
Yes.
find other hobbies and things to bring you joy.
Agreed.
Okay,
So,
so another pro maybe? Do you have a pro of rapid weight loss?
a pro of rapid weight loss. So we talked about you can see the results faster. It makes you feel more accomplished. Oh, and another pro would be the health benefits.
Yes.
Whenever you drop weight rapidly, there can be some health benefits there because, especially if you're someone who's pre-diabetic and you need to get that under control, you drop that weight, you drop those health risk categories a little bit. By dropping that weight, it can help you just be a little bit healthier faster than what it would take in order to do the slow process.
That's right. Like even a 5% loss in body weight can have massive impact on your lab work. Like your lipids, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, all that can improve with a 5% drop in body weight. And so if you're doing a rapid weight loss, you can get there a lot faster than a conventional weight loss. And if you're in a real at-risk category, your doctor may actually want you to lose weight more quickly.
Yes.
And I've seen a bunch of health markers improve very quickly with people in the Transformer program. But there can be some problems with that too. Gallbladder, you know, you lose weight quickly and you could end up having gallbladder problems. And I myself have had my gallbladder removed, and I believe it was related to rapid weight loss.
Yeah.
So, and it's no fun, let me tell you. And that's why actually I do not recommend rapid weight loss. And when we screen for people who have gallbladder disease, it's just too risky. And of course, if you drop calories way too low, like 500, there is a possibility of a heart attack. There's electrolyte imbalances, things like that. So this is why you should only do that under supervision of with a doctor.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we
so
want to talk about some pros and cons of doing weight loss a little
conventional.
bit slower?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to do pros or cons?
I can start with some pros.
Okay.
So, some pros for slowing down the weight loss and taking it more conventionally is that it can be more enjoyable. You have higher calories that you're able to eat day to day, which means that you have more variety in the foods that you're able to eat. You can pick and choose a little more, whereas if you're very low calorie, you might have to go very low carb or very low fat. But whenever you're doing more conventional, you have a little more flexibility with your carbs and your fats. Therefore, maybe you can have the occasional bowl of ice cream or the occasional treat. Maybe you can have that steak for dinner one night that's super high in fat. Whereas if you are very low calorie because you're trying to get the weight off super fast, sometimes you really have to dial in and completely omit some of the foods that you love eating. And that,
Yeah. Or just make the serving size super small
yeah,
in order
exactly.
to fit them in, which could be unsatisfying. You could have that little taste of something you love to eat and it's really hard to stop, you know? Yeah. But with the conventional, I mean, you yourself lost 80 pounds on a slower approach,
Yes.
and you had ice cream almost nightly,
Mhm.
which made it very doable.
Yeah,
And
a lot more adherable, and I didn't feel like I was over restricted. I felt
yeah,
like I was still able to have a burger and have fries and still work towards my goals, which I felt like in the long term helped me also develop some of those habits that I needed once I got the weight off. Because then I knew, okay, well, I've already had a burger and some fries today. Maybe I should not have a steak for dinner tonight after having such a high fat lunch, you know?
right.
I learned how to kind of balance out my meals and know when to have that lean meal or when I can have the extra space for the more fun meal.
Right. So you learned more about moderation, taking the slow approach. No
Yeah.
off limits foods, but everything in moderation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that will serve you for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
It's that same mindset that will help you maintain your weight loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
No extremes. So I guess one of the drawbacks to conventional weight loss is just that it's a slow approach. It requires more patience, and some people just don't have the patience,
Yeah. And then again,
especially if they're not getting the results in the first few weeks. They get frustrated and they want to quit.
yeah.
Um, thank goodness I have some ladies right now who have told me normally they quit a diet in 2 or 3 weeks, and they stuck with it and they fought through it. And now they're enjoying the results because they
Yes.
just decided, I'm not quitting this time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then one of the other drawbacks to it is, as we mentioned earlier, those health benefits. If you have a health issue that you need immediate help with, if you're
Yeah.
borderline diabetic or something like that, then at that point, maybe the slower loss is not the ideal choice for you. Which brings us to our next point. How do we choose?
Oh, well,
Like,
wait a minute. I want to
oh,
talk about another pro, if you don't mind.
okay,
If you're
yeah.
training and you actually are serious about
Yes.
changing your body composition, building muscle, losing fat, a higher calorie approach is better because you do need fuel for your training workouts, right?
Mhm.
If you're coming in with half a tank of gas because you're eating not many calories, how much muscle are you really going to build? Because you just don't, you're going to get so tired,
Yes.
so if you have more fuel, you're going to be able to build muscle better, and your workouts are just going to be way more enjoyable.
You're gonna
I
you
remember
enjoy.
like my blood sugar getting so low on some workouts, and I would just feel so wiped, and then you don't recover as well,
Mhm.
and you have to start doing less and less. So yeah, more calories can really help with that. But okay, what were you going to mention?
Oh, I was gonna say that how do you decide between the two? How do you decide if it's
Oh,
good for you to do a very low calorie diet and that rapid loss, or if you should do more of the conventional approach?
yeah, I think you have to decide, like, it's a mental and physical thing, right?
Mhm.
So mentally, some people I believe are more suited to rapid weight loss. Psychologically, they're just really impatient, but maybe that's something to work on, right? And for health reasons, or maybe there's an event, they want to lose weight quickly. Totally understand that. But the backlash is, how much time do you have to work on your habits and actually make meaningful changes? So when you come out of that bubble, you know what to do,
Yeah.
which is something we really work on in the Transformer program, help through P2, P3, and then transition to real life. But, if, I guess, if you're willing to like do different this time, like if you look at your history, it's like, I know how to lose weight. I've lost weight many times on a diet. I always regain it. Then I think taking a slower approach and really focusing on behavior change is probably the better approach for you, which we can do in the New You program. And in the New You program isn't just for weight loss, it's also for maintenance.
Or
People
even
who,
if you want to gain muscle mass and do a little bulk, we can help you with
absolutely.
that too.
Yeah. And so, taking a more slow, methodical approach, thinking about your triggers, thinking about emotional eating and working on that, working on eating out, and socializing, things that you tend to not do when you're in an extreme diet, you
Mhm.
can practice with a coach, and then you're learning skills and behaviors for real life maintenance.
Yeah.
And that's usually where people need the most help. um, can you think of anything else? Why
Um,
people might want to take a conventional approach? I think we covered it.
yeah, I think we covered most of
More
it.
food freedom, more fuel for workouts, more practice with socializing and eating out.
Yes.
But the drawbacks are you have to be patient.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, and
you
something
have to,
else to consider whenever
yeah.
you're trying to decide which one to is, what do you have going on in your life? If you
Mm,
really think that you would just want to drop weight fast, is it realistic? Do you have barbecues coming up? Do you have camping trips? Are you going to be traveling a lot? Because doing a very low calorie diet while you're traveling, it's not impossible, but it's very difficult to adhere to. So think about your commitment that you're able to make right now at this moment, and think about which option would work better for your lifestyle. If you can travel and keep everything under control and still do very low calories and get the rapid fat loss, then that's great. More power to you. But if you're that kind of person that's like, oh, I'm traveling, I want to indulge a little bit here and indulge a little bit there, then the conventional way might be a better suit for you right now.
yeah. And having said that, whichever approach you take, don't wait for things to be perfect. There is
It's
never
never
a
going to
perfect
be.
every month there is a holiday, a vacation, a wedding, a funeral, an event, a birthday party, a trip, whatever, a convention. There's always something. So
Life does not stop just
it just,
because you are on a diet.
yeah, and it shouldn't, because the more you can simulate real life while on a diet, the easier real life becomes. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm going to repeat that. The more you can simulate real life while dieting, the easier real life becomes after the diet.
I love that. That should be a quote. We should post that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so don't fool yourself. That mentality is it's not the right time.
Mhm.
I would say that's maybe 2% of people. It's more about how motivated are you at this time, because you'll make it work. You'll make it work if you're truly committed. I've had clients go to Africa and diet. I've had clients be on a cruise ship 80% of the time during that 3 months and lose weight. It really comes down to headspace. So are you in the headspace for it?
Mhm.
All
And
right.
which headspace fits your needs better right now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I think we kind of covered everything. Hey, let us know if you have any questions about this in the comments below. We'll be monitoring them and we are happy to answer any and all questions. That's it for me, Coach Adele, Coach Tiffany.
Bye,
Thanks
guys.
for
Have
your
a great
time.
day.
Bye-bye.